Welcome to Andy's Licorice Talk. This is the 23rd episode, and please remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's been a very eventful 6 weeks. We've missed you all. We've missed doing the show, and we're so happy to be back. As you remember, we put it together in a few days. Back, I guess it was in May, with Andrew Mariner, and from that moment on, we didn't miss a week for 22 weeks. So we will continue, but the orchestra is starting up, the Hong Kong Philharmonic, where Lorenzo and I play. So the schedule will vary a little bit. It might be a little bit more sporadic, but in the meantime, we're extremely happy to be back. And we are doing some teaching videos and some music videos showing the beauty of our beloved city and so forth coming up. So we have a very special guest today, Philippe Couper. But before we do, I believe some of you might want to hear from our wonderful bass clarinetist and techie and poster maker and everything else, Lorenzo Yasko. Lorenzo.
Hey, stay here.
Hi.
Hi.
So how does it feel? You've been through an eventful 6 weeks. Why don't you sum it up in 90 seconds?
Yes. So basically, I unfortunately got the virus, the COVID, and I spent 3 weeks in hospital. It was actually extremely hard. The virus hit me really bad, but I guess because I'm kind of young and I kind of escaped the bad consequence. But yes, please, everyone, take extremely serious this virus because it is really dangerous. And I've seen many people dying and many people suffering. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be here, by the way. And yeah, we were looking for going back to this and this Licorice Talk.
Thanks, Lorenzo. And I mean, we're so happy about his health. But for me, maybe this is very not the right thing to say, but he also doesn't have any lung damage, which is a possibility for some people. And he's such a wonderful bass clarinetist. If you haven't heard him, I recommend you go to YouTube. And you know, I would miss his playing terribly if I couldn't hear him at 100%. So everyone's in good shape, and we're ready to get started again. So without further ado, we're going to have Philippe Couper from Paris. Welcome, Philippe.
Hello, bonjour.
How are you? Great, welcome.
Yes, okay. Fine weather in Paris today, but I am at home, like many people. We are locked down and confiné, and I think it's lockdown. Huh? The word is lockdown.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Like many people, so we can go out 1 or 2 hours sometime. It's not a good situation for everybody. So I say to everybody, to my colleague who don't play, who don't rehearse, but who can practice at home. So it's good. We have music to help us. But
Yeah.
I know it's not easy for everybody. And for the young people who begin to work today, I see to this. It's very difficult. So
Yeah.
Good luck. Huh?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, not just to me. I mean, thanks for those words.
Yes.
So I want to. I do want to. We'll go further, but usually I start by talking about how I do know the guest. And I've known Philippe. I'd say 23, 24 years. We've served on competition juries. I remember the first time was 1997 in Brisbane, Australia, and then again in 2009 in Porto, Portugal. And of course,
yes.
Philippe has made numerous trips to Hong Kong and given masterclasses and recitals, and I've attended them all. And we've had nice dinners afterwards. So he's an old friend and colleague, and obviously wonderful clarinet player and teacher. And so it's really great to use this as an excuse to reconnect with you, Philippe. So so why don't we actually just go with what you were saying? For you, I mean, since March, what have you been doing? What have you been doing during this period? Take us through the last.
Like many colleagues in many countries, we stay at home. I have the chance to stay at home, not in Paris, but in my small country house very quiet. So I saw the spring who arrived. So it was so beautiful. I was quiet. I was a little depressed because it was it was a big surprise for everybody, and it was a very special situation. But I don't want everybody know about this, so I don't want to speak too much about this. But it was quite a moment for me. So I did some interview like that, some class by video, and I practice, and I do sometimes nothing. It was not bad. Also, I have a garden, very big garden, so it was good.
Great.
It was good. But only 2 months, two months and a half, and after we begin again to play at the opera. But we did not play opera and ballet. We only play concert, Mozart symphony concert. Not many, but it was in June, July, and after August it was the holiday again. And September and October we play a lot of symphony concert and chamber concert at the opera, the old building, Opéra Garnier. So, and now we rehearse Le Ring by Wagner. During all November we have our rehearsal, and we hope to play in December for the public, but we don't know, because it depends on the government what decision he will do. And so maybe we will play in streaming or on internet, on video, on radio. I don't know for this moment, but we rehearse.
Great.
We have this pleasure.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I'm glad everyone knows this. So keep an eye. Philippe told me before, this is probably the only ring this year worldwide. So if you want to hear Philippe's playing, and there's some wonderful clarinet parts, we've also recorded them. So there's some wonderful clarinet parts. Keep an eye out for the Paris Opera ring performances live stream. Very possible is what you're saying in December. There'll be live streams.
So
right?
we hope, because there is a very great singer like Jonas Kaufmann and others very famous, and the conductor is very excellent. It was music director Philippe Jordan, who conduct in Bayreuth Festival every year.
Wow.
Who is a very lover of Wagner lover, and very good specialist of this music today, with not many people. We saw Mozart, but not many. And Philippe is a very passionate with Wagner.
Great.
So it is a big pleasure, because he knows this ring by memory. It's incredible. Wow. He has an incredible memory to conduct Wagner like that, like maybe not many conductors, like maybe Mazel or Ozawa, or not so many, because it's very long. For opera, very long. So
incredible.
we have a big pleasure to be with him. But he will go soon to the Vienna Opera. He will be the new music director this season in Vienna, Stadt Opera, and so we lost, and we will have a new one. The director, general director, manager told us it will be very, very new great conductor, young, famous, international. I cannot tell you the name.
Okay.
You know, but okay, because I am not the manager, so I.
Of course,
told us it will be a very good. We lost a very good one, and we will have a very good one too. But I cannot tell the name now.
No problem. Great.
Yes. So the situation at the opera is this now, like in some I know the Metropolitan Opera in New York is closed, and I am very sad for my colleague.
Yeah.
In York and the other one, Jessica, and very sad. New York Philharmonic, Boston now. It's incredible situation. And in Europa, some are closed. In London, I know a lot are closed. But Vienna Opera, Berlin and Paris are open a little, not for the public, La Scala is closed, and Covent Garden in London also, I think, is closed. So it's not easy. It's not easy. But for us, it's difficult because we are frustrated not to play, but they pay us. We are paid, so we cannot. Yeah, it's not so crazy like some other colleagues that I know who don't receive salary. The musicians who are not in orchestra, who come sometimes as substitute. In France, we give the name intermittent du spectacle. For this musician is very difficult time. So and also for the teacher, because many conservatoires are closed too. It's not but the situation in Hong Kong. How is the situation in Hong Kong?
Well, I mean, it's been on and off. We're very our numbers are excellent. We have very few cases and so forth, but it's very difficult too. I mean, I have to go. We have very strict laws. So, for example, Lorenzo was forced to go to hospital. It's not even an option. They call you 2 hours later, and they kept him there for 21 days until he tested negative. And everyone in the orchestra had to go to a government quarantine camp. On 2 hours' notice, they all had to go there. So, we're very thankful. We're safe, and yes, the orchestra's playing, and we're beginning to teach live. But then it goes in phases. Then sometimes 2 months later, there's more cases. Everything shuts. So I think unpredictable is the word right now for everybody worldwide. So anyway, that's one last thing. One other thing I want to ask you: how you're also a teacher at the Versailles Conservatory. What's the situation there?
It was closed. Yes, it was closed. It's not far from Paris. 12 kilometers from Paris. So it's like Paris, Versailles. It's a Grand Paris. The castle, famous Versailles Castle, Chateau, is closed for the public, and the school and music school and conservatoire were closed. But now we can teach for some class only, maybe half class, and we do the other one by video or Zoom or Teams or WhatsApp. So we have contact with the student. It's important because they're depressed too. And the new one who arrived last month, it's not easy for them. And like everywhere, but we work. They practice. It's not the same situation like live, but we can work normally. So I hope that in 2-3 months it will be much better. We don't know. It depends on the politics, like everywhere.
Well,
we spoke.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I would like to finish, but you spoke about the opera. But we can continue to speak about the opera if you want, because I have something to tell you. But
please, yes.
I would like to present you what one of my colleagues who retired some years ago was principal bass clarinet. It was Jean-Noël Croc, who composed a lot of books for students, for clarinet, and who wrote 2 books. And he did a long work, very difficult, and he made a lot of photos of the music score in the pit at the opera during many years. And now he did a book. He made a book, excellent. I can show you. The title is this. Fosse note. Fosse is the pit. The pit. And also fosse, but not written like that, is wrong note. But it's pit notes. It's the title of this book. And he did, for example, he did.
Oh wow!
He did photo of all the caricature that we can find on the music It's an
Wow.
excellent book. Yes. And doing two century. Yes, he saw
Wow.
music from the time of Bizet, of
Wow.
Saint-Saëns, of Gounod. Yes, with a big conductor who came at the opera, Toscanini, Furtwängler, and Knapperbusch. And he did a very interesting and very original books. It's because of this I want to speak. Try to find this book, First Note by Jean-Noël Croc, because I am very proud of him. It's not so many clarinet players did this work. So it's very interesting. And he's talented to do this. Not many people can do this. I cannot do this. So
In
it's
fact,
in French. It's in French. Huh? There is not
but
only caricature
we can
and
tell the-
painting. It's
well,
there is
let
some.
me-
The text is in French. Huh?
Philippe, you mentioned it to me once before, but it's hard to grasp it. How old is the Paris Opera?
What?
How
It
old
was
is
good.
the Paris Opera? How
How old?
long? Yes.
Last year the Paris Opera was a birthday. It was 350 years old.
Wow.
Yes. No, it's not the oldest. It's not the oldest. I think the oldest is in Germany. I don't know if it's Berlin Staatskapelle or Berlin Opera or Leipzig Gewandhaus or Staatskapelle Dresden. Maybe one of these three is the oldest, and after we are the oldest also. So it's
Wow.
very old. But the clarinet, because it's our instrument, only came in 1771, at the time where Gluck was a music director at the Paris Opera at this time, and he introduced the clarinet, but every time. Before, we have clarinet, but sometime, like Rameau used sometime in 45, 49. He used clarinet in some opera and opera ballet, but not every time. But from 1771, the opera. And I did research of this, so I have all the name of the clarinet player. I will publish probably this, or I will give to the International Clarinet Association, because it's very interesting and famous name, like Rose, Leroy, and yes, many great names. Xavier Lefebvre.
Yeah. Well, Philippe, do you actually know the first piece with clarinet that was performed at the opera?
Probably Rameau. Many people it was Zoroastre, but maybe it was in 1749. But probably it was 4 years before in an opera ballet by Rameau. The name was Le Temple de la Gloire, the Glory Temple, or Temple of Glory, where Rameau has written some part of flute or oboe, who at the same time should play the clarinet player. So very short music for clarinet in the beginning, but at the opera it was Rameau, I think. Today, maybe we will find another document later, but today it seems to be Rameau.
Amazing.
So at the middle of 18th century.
Do you guys do a lot of ballet as well? Or is that a different orchestra? Yeah.
No, it's the same. It's the same orchestra. In Paris, it's not like in the where you have American ballet orchestra who come in summer and Metropolitan who play opera. No, in Paris it's like in La Scala or in Vienna. We play symphony concert, chamber concert, ballet, and opera. A lot of opera.
Wow.
Yes, so we play all the music. Yes.
Great. It's one of the few jobs in the world, I guess, that you can play the entire clarinet repertoire. I'm saying it's not many jobs can you play the entire clarinet repertoire, all the famous operas, symphonies, ballets, chamber music. Are you hearing me?
If I have play, it was cut. If I have play all the opera and ballet?
No, I'm saying your job gives you the opportunity to play symphony, opera, ballet, chamber music. There are very few jobs in the world you get the entire spectrum of the clarinet repertoire like that. So it's quite a blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was not all the time like that. Today we play more symphonic. Not so many, but we play first opera, a lot of opera and some ballet, and sometimes symphony concert. But with our music director from 12 years, Philippe Jordan, we did a lot of recording of all the Beethoven complete symphony of Beethoven for video, for DVD, all Tchaikovsky symphony for DVD. So we recorded a lot of concerts also for the radio, Debussy, Ravel. But it's like other symphonic orchestra who play every week symphony concert. But sometimes we have this, and the orchestra is very happy because it's another job. It's not the same like to play in opera. It's more short. So it's like, it's very funny. We are very happy to play Beethoven symphony because if we compare with Götterdämmerung by Wagner, who is 5 hours, 30 minutes long, Beethoven symphony are more short, so we are happy.
Yeah, I remember Götterdämmerung. There's that huge duet that goes on for almost 3 minutes, but you have to play 2.5 hours before you get to that duet. You know, in the first act. I mean, it's quite astonishing, quite an experience playing Götterdämmerung. Just before we go on, I think you'll be happy to hear we have friends. We both have terrific relationships with Buffet Crampon. So we have Olivier Auclair, who's watching, and he says hello. And I'm not sure. I think today might be his birthday. So happy birthday! I might be off by a day. So happy birthday, Olivier.
Happy birthday, Olivier. Yes, I know. Yes.
And we also have Matt Vance from Buffet Crampon USA, also watching.
Matt.
Along with other people. So
hello to Magali and to Francois.
Yeah.
in Jacksonville.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, we were very good moment with them in Jacksonville 2 years ago for the summer class, Buffet summer class. It was fantastic. Last year, it was very good time. Magali and Francois and Matt have organized very good moment, and it was very pleasant with my colleague who was there, Alcides, Pierre, and the other one, Inyok and Vittoria, and it was very good moment. Yes, so happy to be I hope to meet you soon.
Yes,
maybe next July. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, now, Philippe, since we're talking about the French school, you know, ever since I've heard your name, and let alone met you, you've been known as what they call an exponent of the French clarinet school. Okay, so I want to ask you, what's that?
What? Like many other.
Sure,
but with a lot of French clarinet players.
That's true, but when you think of the French clarinet school, what is it? How would you describe it? I mean, or specific people, and do you think it still exists, or are things more international nowadays? Tell us, what is the French clarinet school? Referring to people or qualities of it, or what is it?
It's not an easy question.
I understand. I never ask easy questions.
Because I think today is different because it's very international. But also before, we have not only one French school, because we have very different personality who follow some same identic, some same things about elegance, about technique, staccato, also the French composer who influenced a lot this musician. But I think, for example, if we compare the time of Auguste Perrier, who was a student of Mimar and who succeeded to Prosper Mimar at the Paris Conservatoire, at the same moment of Auguste Perrier, we have another famous clarinet player who was Louis Cahuzac, for example, and other one, who don't play the same way than Perrier. They were French, all, but they don't. Perrier play with a small, fast vibrato, like many people at this time, with a lot of technique and staccato, very great. I don't judge. Huh? It was one way to play at this time, but at the same moment, we have Cahuzac or Henri Lefebvre or other people who don't play like that. The students of Rose don't play this way. I never heard Jean-Jean, for example, Paul Jean-Jean, but I heard Henri Paradis, Henri Lefebvre, Louis Cahuzac, René Vernet. They don't play like Perrier or like Mimar or like, it was different style. So it's not an easy question because also today we have many different French schools, like in every country. I think in your country, in state, you have people who don't play the same way. And we can like the same opposite style sometimes. For me, I knew famous people like Stanley Drucker or Harold Wright that I never met. It was my dream to meet Harold Wright or Robert Marcellus or other people famous, but they don't play the same way. No. And it was very good. But it was not the American school only one way. You have many American schools too, like in Germany too. For example, in Germany, at the same moment of, for example, Karl Leister. When I was a teacher, I have heard many recordings of Karl Leister when they came also in Paris with Karajan, and I was very I respect a lot how we play, but I know that at the same moment we have some other clarinetists who don't play the same way than Karl. Dieter Kerr, for example, don't play the same. And if you hear old recording of German school, like for example Rudolf Gall, he don't play the same way. I love Rudolf Gall. For me, it was one of the best in Germany. You should hear the Max Reger quintet recording with Rudolf Gall. It's fantastic. And I think Rudolf Gall, for example, he was German, but he played a long time as principal clarinet in Amsterdam Concertgebouw. And after he moved to Munich Radio Orchestra, and he died in the 60s, I think, he committed suicide. And but he was a great musician. Huh? Excellent. And it's not the same way to play than Dieter Klöcker or Jos Michels or Karl Leister or another famous guy who teach in Berlin high school. I forget the name. It was a teacher of Walter Seifert or I think Steve Williamson. I've listened with him. I forget his name. Maybe you can help me. But he was great.
We interviewed Steve, and he did mention his name, and I also just forgot.
Yes, I forget. I met him one time in Prague. I met him one time. Very nice person. He died now, but he played very well, very well. I heard a recording of Spohr concerto with him at the Hamburg. He played in Hamburg Radio Orchestra, and he was a great. And it's another school of playing for me. It's not a German school. There is many German schools, like many, or not many, but some different school in England too. For example, Frederick Thurston, that I respect a lot. He play without vibrato. He don't play with vibrato. His student, for example, he has two famous students, Jack Breimer and Gervais de Peyer.
Right.
They use a lot of vibrato. I don't judge, but it was at the same moment. You see, it's the same school, but not completely the same school. And Bernard Walton also play another way. So they are English because they are born there, but they don't play the same way. And in France, it's the same. It's the same problem. We have people who play very differently, and it's nice. I like that we have not some of a nationalist style. You see, there is a tradition. Some part of this are tradition. Okay, I can respect, but I don't like too much the nationalist side. I think it's more international, and it's good too. I can understand that we want to conserve some good tradition, but not all. I think, and we should be more open. And I think music don't need too much nationalist style with different system, like today between French and German or Austrian or other system in the world. I think today it's old. It's too old, and we should sing only music. For example, we should open the competition for the young musician in everywhere, all over the world. I think it's my point of view. I accept that people don't think like me, but I think we cannot close, for example, some competition only for French system, for German system, or for me stupid. Today, the people play more international, and the sonority, the style is more open. It is good or it is not good. It is a question. I don't want to judge. You can decide to love this or to love this. Okay, I can respect. I love German clarinet, for example, and some players who are very good. But German clarinetists can come in France or in other countries to pass an exam, to play a competition for a job. But the opposite is not true. I am sad about this. I think our colleagues should, maybe in the future, they could not conserve this. They should. I understand that they want to conserve the same system like in France. We have the French bassoon, but with the fagot. Today we have a lot of fagot who play very well too, and we have the two systems. For example, in the Paris Opera, we have half 3 play German system and 4 play French system, and they play together, and it's work. So I play sometimes with my friend German.
Well, Philippe, I'm actually very curious. We've had other guests on the show, Wenzel Fuchs, for example, of the Berlin Philharmonic, and Ricardo Morales, who plays French system, who played in the Berlin Philharmonic. And of course, and I think Wenzel mentioned actually that you had played there. So what is it like? I mean, it's one thing to talk about, different French styles or even English, old English styles with the same sort of system. But what was it like for you to play there, where they, as you say, are quite a bit more strict about the system? I'm very curious how that fit in. I discussed it with those two guests as well.
I think today is very different. 50 years ago, you can hear some recording with German clarinet or French clarinet system. We can hear a big difference. It's true. And we can like this system or this system. I don't care. For me, I judge only music. But today is not true. Truly, I think, very honestly, that if you play behind a curtain, if you don't know who play, sometimes you don't know if it's German or French system.
Wow.
And it's good. We don't care. We don't care. I remember I have a friend in London who told me, I did a recording of Weber Concerto 20 years ago, and he put the recording for a friend of him. And his friend told him, who is this German guy who played? He thought I was German player.
Wow.
It's true that I like German clarinet. I received influence for this old recording from Rudolf Gall or Karl Leister. Yes, because I love this sonority but today I think it's not important, not for me. But I can understand that the original instrument that you play, you want to conserve. I think it's not a problem. The German orchestra can conserve the German clarinet because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But I think the competition should be open to everybody, to have mixed orchestra. I play sometimes chamber music with my German colleague, and it's not a problem. It's not a problem. With intonation, with sonority, we find, if we want, we can play together. If we don't want, okay, we don't play together. But it is possible. It is possible. I told Mado, for example, or me or other people play also with German orchestra sometimes. We are very happy. I had no problem in Berlin to play with Walter Seifert or Manfred Price or other player or Wenzel to play together. It was not a problem. If we want, we find some to play in the same way. And the sonority, the sound today is more international because we have the radio, the recording, and we can be influenced. Okay, and we have some German who play like French system player or French system player who play like German. Well, not completely, but very similar. You see, so it's music for me. Music first. Music first. We should forget this nationalism and system. For me, it's very old, very very old. But it's my think, what I think. Okay, so I can accept that. Maybe Wenzel or Walter or other people don't want. But you know, I met a long time ago Alfred Prince. I remember in Poland. I love this man. He was very charming man. Very charming man. I respect him a lot. I have some recording of him from a long time with Wiener Octet or Wiener Philharmonic. And I was very happy when I met him. It was for a Clarinet festival in Krakow, in Poland. And we stayed 1 week together. And we spoke about this. And he told me that, like me, that he don't care about the system. That he was very open. And I can, a proof of this is that when he finished to play in Vienna Opera, he went to state to learn clarinet, to be where in
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yeah.
Yes. And he has a lot of time to compose because he was an excellent composer, very good composer. Yeah. He sent me a lot of music of him, very good, excellent. And so you see, if we want, we can play together, but sometimes it takes time to move the old things.
Yeah, right. Just for our listeners who might not know, Alfred Prinz was in the Vienna Philharmonic, and of course, the oboe, horn, and clarinets are unique to Austria. Basically, it have their own sound. So that's what we're talking about. And anyone who's seen our show knows we love shout outs to the old masters. So so thank you very much for bringing him up and a little bit about his philosophies. Let's
Andy, I think the Vienna oboe or horn in Vienna or fagot are very different than the clarinet. I think the French system or Austrian or German system are not so far. They are not so far, you know. And for example, I like to speak about this. It's Lorenzo who told me this. You know the famous Mühlfeld, Richard Mühlfeld, in the Brahms clarinetist who played in the end of the 19th century. He played a model of clarinet made by Ottensteiner. And the Ottensteiner, honestly, they are not the German system of today. You know, Ottensteiner studies and stay in Paris 10 years. So I think he has a lot of mix. He was German, but he was also in France 10 years. He stayed a long time. And after he did his clarinet. So who are not the German or Austrian clarinet of today, you see? So, and Mühlfeld play on this. And Mühlfeld used vibrato. We know this, that he used vibrato. So it's not the system of German clarinet. Many German doing, not today, but long time ago, told us no vibrato on German clarinet. You see, in the history, there is some example who are different. So it's very good clarinet, Ottensteiner. And Johann Zegelke, he made this today again. It's a beautiful instrument. Yes. So it's an example of what we can do more international and what we should do in the future, I think, for the young generation.
Yeah,
it's my point of view.
Yes. And well, for me also, as equipment is becoming more uniform. For example, you were talking about the English players. Now, most of them are on more French instruments than, as you say, Breimer and bass. You know, so I think the responsibility now is on the player to make his own sound. So it isn't just you listen to the radio, as you said before, oh, that's German, that's English. Now, it has to be, oh, that's Philippe Couper, that's Carl Leister, that's whoever. You have to make your own sound, because a lot of people are playing Van Doren, a lot of people play Buffet, Selmer, Yamaha worldwide now. And a lot of people have good instruments. I mean, just 30, 40 years ago, a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries, they had terrible instruments, terrible reeds and mouthpieces. And now, pretty much it's universal. So I think the responsibility now is on the player to create his own, his own sound rather than a national sound or whatever, the equipment. Great. By the way, have you ever had an orchestra job before the Paris Opera, or was that your first job?
No, my first job was in symphonic orchestra, les concerts L'Amoureux Orchestra in Paris, who is not so famous today. He was in a symphonic orchestra made by musicians on the weekend. We have 4 associations of musicians who play on the weekend, but all the week they play at the opera or at the Opéra Comique Orchestra or in the Garde Républicaine Band. And on the weekend they make a meeting. They have 3 rehearsals and concert on a Sunday afternoon, anytime. And it was my first job. I was 19 years old. I come from I was not from Paris, so I arrived in Paris and I prepared to enter in the Paris Conservatoire. I was not in the Paris Conservatoire, in the Guy de Plus class. So it was my first job. I stay almost 10 years there, 9 years, yes. And I play also some short time. I should do my military time, 1 year. So I was also in the Air Force Band, Musique de l'Air de Paris. Yes, when I was 19 years old. And after I enter at the Garde Républicaine Band, who is more famous, with a good conductor at this time, who famous was Roger Boutry. Roger Boutry was a composer and harmony and writing teacher at the Paris Conservatoire. And he was a great musician. I was very, very happy to be at the Garde Républicaine Band because it was a lot of only wind instrument and very good musician and not so many work. So I have a lot of time to practice my instrument. It's a time where I practice a lot my instrument alone to prepare some international competition.
Phil, I'm always fascinated, especially about the Garde. My accent's not as good as yours, Garde Republican. But yes. I mean, so many well-known wind players have gone through that band. I mean, very few cultures, I think, have this prestigious band. I mean, getting into that band is a launching pad for all the best play. Every person I've ever talked to has at one time played in that band. It's quite
many.
Yeah, it's quite
because remarkable. It's a typically of Paris tradition because in 19th century we have 3 orchestra who play where musicians were paid every month. So it was month salary, and it was the Opéra de Paris Orchestra, Opéra Comique, it was not far, and Théâtre des Italiens, where Closet play, or Ivan Müller, or Frédéric Baer, and who don't exist today. It was only 19th century, the Théâtre des Italiens. The director was Rossini there. So it was famous too, yes. Wow. And after they closed, and some musicians went to the Opéra Comique or to l'Opéra. And after they closed also in the 20th century, in the 70s, they closed the Opéra Comique Orchestra, and they include to the Opéra Orchestra, with today a very big orchestra. We are 175 musicians. It's the biggest orchestra, yes. I think with Mariinsky or Bolshoi, we are the biggest. Yes, wow. It's a lot of musicians, but because we work a lot, so we have 2 theaters, 1 orchestra officially, but two theaters, Garnier, Palace Garnier, and the Bastille Opera, the new one. And we play every day in the two buildings. So we need a lot of musicians.
Orchestra splits. You have two orchestras sometimes playing at the same time?
Yes. We have the blue team and the green team. Yes, we are cut in two, but we mixed also. So I finish about Garde Républicaine. So the tradition was to have in 19th century to have a job where well paid, like this orchestra, Théâtre des Italiens, Opéra Comique, Opéra de Paris, and also the band, military band, helped musicians to win money. And the Garde Républicaine band, who was born in the middle of 19th century, who come from the Revolution band, from the time of Lefebvre at the end of the 18th century. It was a continuity of the Garde Nationale. So the Garde Républicaine was born in 19th century. It was a good job, famous, and at this time with the costume and all the hat, and it was people like this at this time, today too. And so many musicians play in the band. They are military. They have good money, and at the same moment they could play in the opera or opera comique. It was possible, but sometimes they were frustrated not to play symphony. Symphonic piece. So, for example, some musicians of the opera created in the 1828 la Société des Concerts du Conservatoire de Paris. It was a musician from the opera comique, and some teacher from the Paris Conservatoire. With Abenec was a conductor, François Abenec, who was a violinist at the Paris Opera. And they construct the first symphonic association in Paris, who play on the weekend, only the weekend, when the opera was closed, you see. And after, in 19th century, we have three other symphonic association of musicians in Paris. It was, I think, first les concerts Pas de Loup, les concerts Colonne, were played after Cahuzac, the famous Cahuzac, he played in Concert Colonne in Paris, and les concerts L'Amoureux. L'Amoureux was a musician at the Paris Opera too. And it's this tradition of musicians who play in the Garde Républicaine band and at the same moment in the other orchestra, because they don't play so many times, and to win money, to have a correct salary, it was like that at this time, and it's continued in the 20th century until today. But today, every orchestra work a lot. At the Paris Opera, we work a lot. So the association, symphonic association like L'Amoureux, Colonne, or Pas de Loup, work just a little today. And la Société des Concerts du Conservatoire appeared in 1967, and some musician was the basis construction of the Orchestre de Paris, who continue today, and who is a complete full-time orchestra. So we have this tradition in Paris, but we have also French radio orchestra who did not exist in 19th century, who were created in the 30s. Orchestre National de Radio France was created where my colleague Patrick Messiaen played. The orchestra was created in 1934, and the first principal was Gaston Hamelin, who came from the opera before, Paris Opera, and who was in Boston Symphony 4 years, from 26 to 30 something. I think he was at Boston Symphony. Gaston Hamelin, famous teacher of Ralph McLean or Harold White. So the French tradition continue in state with this way. For example, the same way with double lip, you see, why Harold White played double lip, or Dave Weber also after other one. And today we have, I think, Richard Stoltzman play like that.
Yeah. Sure.
I think he played double lip, huh? No?
Yeah,
Richard
John
Stoltzman.
Yes, Richard Stoltzman plays
John also.
John Ye.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know personally Richard Schlossman. I know very well John Ye. I did not know that he played double lip. But so I finished with the Garde Républicaine band. So you can, I don't know if I am clear enough, but why so many musicians play at the Garde Républicaine band? Because it was a full-time job and well paid. Not so well paid, but a good job at this time in Paris. And now it's different because we have 5 orchestra, symphonic orchestra and opera orchestra in Paris, full-time. Opéra, Orchestre de Paris, Orchestre National, Orchestre Philharmonique, Radio France, and Orchestre d'Île-de-France. And we have also 2 small groups like Orchestre de Chambre de Paris and Ensemble Intercontemporain that Pierre Boulez created in 76. So we have a lot of other orchestra today. But the military band exists always. And it's good to have a job. Sometimes when you begin, you are young, you have no job. It's good to begin, like me or like other musicians who play there in the Garde Républicaine band, in Air Force band, in police band, you see. But in the future, we don't know if it will be existed. We don't know. But now, it's a lot of job for clarinet player. And you can have pleasure to play music. And the Garde Républicaine band is also always very, very good. Very good.
Speaking of, I don't know if
finish.
No, it's okay. I don't know if he heard his name, but literally he just got on to say hello. John Ye's listening here. He says hello.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about double lip players, John, and he's been to every single interview, and he's done one himself. So I was so worried he wouldn't be here. So anyway, I'm very happy. Both of you guys are tremendous because you're an incredible encyclopedia, especially on clarinet playing. I mean, it's amazing. You know about players in the States that go back generations. And I mean, you're an incredible source. And John's exactly the same way. I mean, every time I'm thinking about a name I can't remember, John always comes in. And you, 2 people I've always met. And John cheering double lip right now. So anyway, now listen, Philippe, since we're doing shout outs to people, I want to talk about your teachers. You know, we love to document the old people, especially Guy Deplu, I know passed away not so long ago. So I'm sure people will want to hear a little bit about your relationship with these teachers and also what they were like, what they taught, their styles, everything like this. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I have the chance to have a very good teacher when I begin music, when I begin clarinet at 12. I begin clarinet at 12 years old. Before I did solfège, you know, I learned music without instrument, 3 years. It was long. I play football, so I prefer soccer than solfège. But when I meet this person, Gilbert Boisin was his name, it was a shock. I was very impressed at 12 years to assist to a class of this guy. And I decided to learn clarinet because of him. And he got a 2nd prize in Geneva International Competition in 1950. And he played in the north of France, in Lille. It's a big city in the north of France near Belgium. There was a symphonic orchestra there. So he was principal clarinet. And before he has played in National Orchestra in Radio France in Paris, and he has played in Toulouse Orchestra Radio also. But he only teach in a very small school of music. It was new. He was happy to have some students there, and I was some of his students. And I have a lot of chance. I realized today that it was a chance because immediately it was very easy with him. And he thinks that I love music and clarinet, and he was like a second father for me. And it was to learn clarinet was never difficult with him. Always like to play soccer or like to have fun. I have only fun with this guy. So it was very big chance. And after he told me, okay, I am like that, but go to meet some friend of me who learn you other things. They are French too, but go to Jacques Lancelot. You know, Jacques Lancelot, there is a competition today. He was at my time when I was teenager. He was one of the most famous French player, and I have some lesson with him, summer class, very interesting. And after I have lesson with Guy Danguin also, who was at the Paris Conservatoire class of first singing, but his principal job was to be principal clarinet at the French National Radio Orchestra, where he invited me many times. I remember I was 16, 17 years old, and he invited me for rehearsal or to play sometime with him. And the conductor who came there were Celibidache, Bernstein, and other famous names. And for me, it was, I never saw this. It was a big surprise. And I have chance to have this. I think it's a good pedagogy to help the student to meet a great conductor, great musician immediately, because we don't need to speak. You learn to, when you see, when you hear, you imitate. It was mimetism, like the Japanese violin Suzuki method, for example. It was a shock. So Guy Danguin helped me for this. It was, I don't know if he realized this today, but for me it was a big shock. And he helped me to enter to the Paris Conservatoire, and the new teacher was Guy Deplu. Before him it was Ulysse Delecluse. I have some lesson with him, a private lesson with him, but he retired, and Guy Deplu arrived as a teacher, and he got the job. Other people can get the job too, like Guy Danguin or Henri Druard also, or all other famous, but the jury decided it was to vote for Guy Deplu. So it was very good. Another French clarinet player, but different than my first teacher or Gilbert Voisin or Guy Danguin after. Another way to learn music. And it was very good because at this time, Guy Deplu played at the opera, and also he played with Boulez a lot of time in the Boulez ensemble. So he knows very well the modern music of this time. Boulez, Stockhausen, and Marius Constant, János Komives, and all the famous composers, Berriot. And, so he learned me different things. And when I finished the Paris Conservatoire, I got my diploma. I was at the Garde Républicaine Band and L'Amoureux Orchestra. And I wanted to learn always, again, because I thought it was not enough. It's never enough. But we never stop to learn. But he told me, Philippe, I am busy. I play in orchestra, I teach at Paris Conservatoire. So he was very honest with me. And so I went to another famous name in France. At this time, it was Henri Druard, who was at this moment principal clarinet in the Orchestre de Paris, and who got first prize in Genève competition in 1947. The first French guy who got a prize there. And I remember he told me the second prize was the principal from Montreal Symphonic Orchestra, Raphaël Mazella. And the third position, no third prize, but medal was Alfred Prinz, who was 17 years old. Yes, and who play Alfred play in the Vienna Opera at this time. He got the job at 15, Wow. So Henri Druard was a famous player who knew very well clarinet. He came from an old tradition too, because his two teacher principal were, so he has Perrier at the Paris Conservatoire, but he spoke about many times about René Vernet, who nobody knows today, but he was at the Garde Républicaine Band at this time. There was some recording with René Vernet. He was a tremendous player. And his first teacher was Ferdinand Capel. And Capel probably, because he wrote a book of 20 studies for clarinet, Etudes, published always published today. And Ferdinand Capel was born in the north of France, the region where I was born, in Lille. He teaches there, but he had a lot of clarinetists famous as a student. For example, Delecluse, Henri Dionnet, Maurice Cliquenoy, who played in French radio, Désiré Donden, who became a composer, René Barras, who was in L'Amoureux Orchestra, Henri Guisgan, probably you know Guy Sgandery. You know the piece Guy Sgandery? It was a piece written for Guisgan. He was a clarinet player, Henri Guisgan. He was a student of Capel. And also Henri Druard. And Henri Druard told me that Ferdinand Capel, before to be a teacher at the Lille Conservatoire, Capel was principal clarinet in Switzerland, in Geneva Opera Orchestra, not La Suisse Romande Orchestra, who did not exist at this time. It was beginning of 20th century. And Ferdinand Capel also teach in the Geneva Conservatoire. And one of his most famous students, who became very famous, was Daniel Bonad. Daniel Bonad, you know, who went after to Cleveland, to Philadelphia, and who teach in Juilliard to 40 years to many American players. But he was student of Capel, the same teachers and my teacher. So when we speak about school, you know, it's move a lot, it travel a lot to school because people move. So a big part of French school are also in state, like Italian also, because many Italian or English or German went to state and they have a lot of students. So today is a mix. The national school are not exactly national school.
Right.
You think it's more open because of this.
Well, since we're talking about your influences, I'm extremely intrigued by three things. You worked with Messiaen, you worked with Francais, and you have a special story and connection with the Poulenc Sonata. So these are standard works. Do you want to share some inside tips that the composers had for you and perhaps people learning these pieces?
I did not met Poulenc. I was too young. He died
I know that. But you have a. Why don't we start with that? You have a story with a friend of his who was a clarinetist, I believe.
Yes, with André Boutard. André Boutard. Today I have his job at the Paris Opera and also in Versailles Conservatoire. And André Boutard, was not my teacher, but not completely. I have some lesson with him about Poulenc Sonata because I asked him. But we became, at the end of his life, very, very friend. He's the only clarinet player from this generation that he asked me to tell him tu. You know, in France we have instead you have you for your friend and you for people that also your teacher you respect. But in France we have two words. We have tu, very friendly, and we have vous, with more respectable word. So André Boutard he asked me to tell him no, you tell me tu. So I can tell very simple that we became very friends, and I love him a lot. Like I love my teacher too, my fourth teacher, but André was very special because I taught during a long time in Paris Conservatoire Center, Municipal Conservatoire, near the apartment of André Boutard. So every week I met him. We have a lunch together before my class. We have a dinner and we spoke a lot. He told me a lot of story, and especially about Poulenc. Because André Boutard, who played a long time in Opera Comique Orchestra, principal clarinet, and after at the opera, Poulenc gave some first audition of his work at the Opera Comique. So he knew André Boutard. André Boutard knew very well. And from a long time, and it's not the same generation. Poulenc was 20 25 years more old than Boutard. But one day, Poulenc went to a concert where André Boutard played Debussy Rhapsody in symphony concert in Paris. And after the concert, he went to André Boutard and he told him, "Oh, André, I finish this summer to work on a sonata for clarinet. Have you some time to come in my apartment, Rue de Médicis, near Luxembourg Garden in the center of Paris, with your clarinet, and we can have a look to my sonata. I never heard this sonata, so okay." So to show you that Boutard and Poulenc know them before very well. And André told me that he went to play for the first time the sonata. It was in September, October 1962. And he played with Poulenc. Poulenc played the piano part, and he told him when they finish, "Oh, maestro, yes, not so easy for the first reading, but you know, I am not a violin player. I'm not a pianist player. I am a wind instrument, so I need air. I need to have some breath." So he explained, André Boutard explained me that Poulenc has written the clarinet part all the time. The clarinetist never stopped to play. And Boutard was very tired because he has no air enough. So Poulenc very simply told him, "Okay, come next week, I will change my copy." And they did this work many weeks like that, because every week or every moment that they play together, André told him, "Oh, maestro Poulenc, maybe we can do like that. Maybe this note are easy. Maybe we take a breath here. Maybe this rhythm." They change together a lot of things. People don't know this, but André told him many things, and Poulenc accepts sometimes to change something very easily. So because of this, we have 4 or 5, I don't remember exactly, 4 or 5 manuscripts different that Poulenc has written. And when Poulenc died, there was a lot of music, a lot of different manuscripts of him. And it's a problem of today with Chester edition. They publish different edition. You know, the first one was okay, but after they changed. And some musicologists or some musicians today, they explain us that, yes, but Poulenc, he changed a lot. He uses red ink to write this. He put this. Yes, maybe. We know something about the history of Poulenc when we know him. I am not a specialist of Poulenc, but we can, something are only supposition. We cannot know exactly. What we can know is what André Boutard played with Poulenc. It's sure. Even if Poulenc has changed something after, not many. Because the story is that the piece should be first played in Aix-en-Provence festival, with a city in the south of France. Poulenc has written a letter about this. He has written, he has written to a friend of him, and we have this letter. In some months or next year, I will finish my sonata for oboe and my sonata for clarinet, and the oboe sonata will play in Strasbourg festival, and the clarinet sonata will play in Aix-en-Provence festival. It is written. It is not written Carnegie Hall, New York. But you know, because of the Poulenc death, very suddenly, the story of this sonata changed a lot. We know that Poulenc should go to state in '63. In the future, it was there was some concert for him. So probably he decided also to play the sonata in state. We don't know, probably. But the truth of the story is that first, André Boutard is the only one to have studied this sonata with a composer, 3 months, and that it should be played first in Aix-en-Provence. The true story is this. After when Poulenc died, the story changed. And many people also told us today different things. What is true, what is not true. We never know. It's like Mozart concerto, like some story, you know. What I told you about this is only what André Boutard told me. I don't make invention. Huh? So,
did he ever share specific things with you, for example, that differ between the Chester edition and perhaps that he and Poulenc had changed or Poulenc had changed and they got the wrong edition? Any specifics?
Yes, first you can find a recording of André Boutard, who did the first recording in '63 with the best friend of Poulenc, Jacques Février, at the piano, who studies also this sonata with Poulenc. And so it's a document who is not, we can find on internet, but the quality of the sound is horrible. The technical sound, you know, it will be good. Maybe we will do this. I don't know about the copyright of this company, but I would like to do this. Other people maybe will do before me. I don't know, but it will be good to have a good recording of the disc LP of André Boutard. I have the original master of this, and it will be good to have a good recording of this, because they have a part of the truth, because they are the only one to play. You know, I don't know. We have no recording of Benny Goodman. It was played at the radio, but I don't know if it exists. And Benny Goodman never played with Poulenc because he played with Bernstein at the piano. But Bernstein and Poulenc know themselves. But I'm not sure Benny Goodman and Poulenc met. I don't know, but I don't think so. But it will be interesting to have a good recording, because the recording on the internet of this sonata with Boutard is not good quality. So André don't play like that. I know very well. He plays much better than this.
Right,
okay?
right.
And what it will be good. Some people ask me to make an edition, but you know, Poulenc died in '63, and we should wait a long time in France to have an edition. Maybe we can do. So what can I do myself to help the clarinetist community is to tell what André Boutard told me and give me, and what I show on his manuscript, you see. So because it's what he played with Poulenc.
Great.
Okay, so there is also always in the Chester edition the problem of notes. People tell that, no, we should change this note. Yes, it's true, but even if you play this version or this version, it's always Poulenc who has written this. But it changed. With Boutard, he decided to play maybe C sharp because of A, or E because of C sharp, or you see, something like that. But it was written by Poulenc. But what it's important is to know, if it's important, what they decide at the end.
Right.
You know, so is the problem.
Great.
And the most interesting thing that I can tell to the clarinetist who heard this interview is, and what I conserve in my mind, it was not a question of notes of you know, for me it's not the most important. The most important is that Poulenc did not want any rubato, rallentando, or thing like that in his sonata. He has written only one slow part, no slow part, but poco cedendo in the final movement, in the third movement. There is no rallentando, no rubato, and Poulenc did not want this. He told to Boutard. You know, Poulenc was a good friend of, from a long time, of Stravinsky. When Stravinsky was French and lived in Paris when they were young. And Poulenc was a lover of Stravinsky. He respected him a lot. He liked Stravinsky music. And he told to Boutard, you know, play like if you play very strict music by Stravinsky. And it's not the same music. You see, when you play Poulenc sonata, it's like new romantic music, and people wanted to make a lot of marmalade, sugar, but they put too much. And Poulenc hates this. He did not want. There is proof of this. It's not invention of me. Huh? What Boutard told me, the most important is this. no rubato. You should respect the exact rhythm that is written. When it's for 4 lines, when you have 60 notes or 32 notes or 64 notes, you should respect exactly. You should respect all the breath who are not there only to have air, because it's written also on the piano part. But Poulenc wanted a small stop. You stop a little, half second. He wanted it. Nobody respect this, or not many people. It's typically music by Poulenc, and you can see this before when he composed, when he was young, when he was 20 years old, he composed 2-piece famous sonate for 2 clarinet and sonate for clarinet and fagot. It's the same problem. We have a lot of breath that nobody respect. We should stop. Nobody respect. The rhythm also. He was very strict with this, Poulenc, you know. He write what he want exactly, like Stravinsky, you know. So it's important. This music, it's not necessary to put more things and more and more and more to be more expressive, or to be. Sometimes he has written no espressivo, play very monotone, and the music is beautiful like that. It's not necessary to put. If I told to my students sometimes, when you go to the Musée du Louvre to see Mona Lisa, La Gioconda de Leonardo da Vinci, you don't go there, you don't like, so you put some red on his lip, or you change, you put some black. It's the same. If you change the thing of the sort of the composer, you cannot do this. You should respect, you know, and the music should be beautiful too, and nobody will play the same way because everybody is different. Some people told me, yes, but if we sing like that, everybody plays the same way. I don't think so, because when you play, your sonority is different, your feeling is different, your earth is different. So you don't play the same feeling, the same sonority. It will be different.
Sure.
So
well, even when we play ourselves, we can't play 2 performances the same way, right? I mean,
yes.
it never played exactly the same way anytime you played the piece. So of course, I agree with you. Absolutely. Let's go on to Francais then. Yeah, I believe. Did you record Francais concerto with him?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any insight on his concerto that he shared with you?
Yes. It's always published today. You can find, some people put on the internet. He conducts the orchestra. Yes, he has. I have the chance. I call him and he accepts to come freely. He don't ask me any money. He was very gentle guy, charming man. I love him. This guy, very nice guy. He was a student of Nadia Boulanger, famous teacher in Paris, and it was like family, you know, Nadia Boulanger and him. He knew her when he was a very young boy, and you know, Francais also met Maurice Ravel. He played for Maurice Ravel when he was young. So he has a lot of story to tell me. But I want to tell you how I met him. I arrived at the opera. I got my job at the opera, and some colleague of me asked me to play a chamber music concert with a Beethoven sextet and Francais octet, also very good piece. And some of the musicians of the opera was a student of Jean Francais, because Jean Francais was also a chamber music teacher at the École Normale. It's a private school in Paris. So he knew him, and he proposed to our group to invite Jean Francais. It was in the 80s, at the end of the 80s. He came to Jean Francais to come at our rehearsal to play for him his octet. Okay, we were very happy, and I met him there at the opera, and I knew his concerto because I practiced from some competition, and I heard Jacques Lancelot first recording, and so I studied also with Jacques Lancelot this piece. So it was a famous and difficult piece always, and so at the rehearsal I spoke after the rehearsal with Jean Francais, and I asked him if he has some time to give me some no lesson, but some class about his concerto. If he has time, if you want, okay. And very friendly, he told me, okay, come next week. I will be there in my apartment in Paris, Rue de Turbigo, in the center of Paris. come there and we will drink and we will play together. Like that, very simply. So I was very happy. I practiced a lot the concerto, and I arrived in his apartment. And so he told me a lot of things. He told me, like Poulenc, play only the text. Don't chant the text. You see? And because he knew very well what he wanted. Even if the edition is not correct, the first edition has many mistakes. So sometime I was in his apartment to play some music with him, and he was very gentle. He was almost 80 years old, and at this time I have the chance also at this moment that the LP recording was finished, or almost finished, and the compact disc, the CD, new system of recording came in Europe and in France, and many recording company tried to have a new catalog of CDs, and I have the chance that a company asked me to make a recording, and they proposed me, what you want, what do you prefer to some concerto. I never asked nothing. They proposed me. So I told them, okay, I would like to make some great French concerto. Jean Français concerto, Darius Milhaud concerto, great piece, and Debussy Rhapsody. And okay, the company was okay. And they chose an orchestra that I knew before, the Orchestre de Bretagne, Orchestre Symphonique de Bretagne, in Rennes, in the West France. Britain orchestra, and we never recorded. It was a new orchestra, and they never recorded something. So it was the first recording. Oh no, I make a mistake. I made a recording with them 2 years before. It's because of this. Yes, I make Weber concerto with them. It's because of this. Yes, I forgot. So I proposed this program, and the director of the orchestra told me, yes, but we are on only 45 musicians or 40 musicians. We are not a big symphonic orchestra. So if we want to record it, Debussy Rhapsody or Milhaud concerto, it costs a lot because we should engage many substitute musicians, and we have not the money to do this. So change your program. The Français concerto is okay, but change your program. So what I should change very fast. And I knew Copland concerto, who is also composed for a small orchestra, and Nielsen concerto also, who don't need a big orchestra. So I proposed Jean Français, Copland, and Nielsen concerto to the company and to the orchestra, and they accept. It was like that. And I thought maybe I can call Jean Français, maybe he refused, maybe he did not want, he thinks he's too old. He was 80. And he accepted very simply. So I have chance. And so we went to record on one weekend. We have 3 days, 1 day for Copland, 1 day for Français, 1 day for Nielsen. So in the morning we have the rehearsal, and the afternoon we have 3 hours recording.
Wow.
In 3 days. So it was short time. We were ready. The orchestra rehearsed before, but to record it was not a long time. But I suppose Jean Français was happy because he accepted to publish the disc, and for me it was a chance as a young musician to have this opportunity to record what I wanted. And so it was a recording who, how can I tell this, a carte de visite, you know, when you give your visit card to somebody, you. So this recording travel a lot. I have this chance with the company. Went to Japan to stay and people knew this recording very easily, a long time, and it was a chance for a young musician like me at this time to have this opportunity. So, and Jean Français, I can tell him thank you Jean Français, because now I know I am in contact with his family, and we try to do our best, because Jean Français at my time, he was not played so many times in France. He was playing in the 50s, in the 60s, Jacques Lancelot and Jean-Pierre Rampal and many musicians play his music. Maurice Allard, Pierre Pierlot, and all the famous players. And but we have some opposition style of composer in France after the war. The new generation arrived and they put away the old generation. And Jean-Français was considered like an old generation, but the new generation, for example, Boulez or the new people who arrive. And so we have not the chance to be influent like Boulez. I play Boulez too. I like Boulez music too, but I don't want to go in this sort of problem. But it was a question of style of time. During 20 years, we have only a lot of modern music in one way. Berlioz, Stockhausen, Dalla Piccola, Boulez, and many others, who has a lot of influence in France. Also, officially, politically, there are many important things with this person. So the composer like André Jolivet, Jean-Français, even Messiaen, it was not easy for this composer, for this generation at this time. So today I try to play his music because I think it's also great music. It's another way, you know. For example, the concerto of Jean-Français was composed the same year or at the same moment with a Domaine by Boulez. And it's two pieces for clarinet. And I play this two piece and I told to my student, I told them, practice the two at the same moment. It is completely different music, but it's the music of my time when I was young. And we should play all the music. It's Cahuzac who told this. He knew a lot of composer. And he told, you should play all the music of your time, all the new piece. Even if you don't know in the beginning, if you don't like immediately, but practice. And after you will decide. When you know the music from inside, you can have a choice, you can have an opinion. Before, you cannot have an opinion. So I think it's important to be open and to play all the composer. And when we know, we can decide what we like more or what we don't play or don't like more. Okay, but it depends on the moment sometimes. You know, sometimes you like to play Poulenc Sonata during 10 years, and after you have enough, you want to play Boulez during 10 years, and you want to play other piece, Corigliano, and so it's like if you eat couscous every day or spaghetti alla bolognese every time, you have enough, you want to change sometime. So we are human. So it's normal, I think. You think?
Well, Philippe, tell us about Messiaen. I'm interested if he gave you any insight onto his quartet.
Okay. You think I speak too much, huh?
No.
No.
If people are going to call me a hypocrite if I criticize you for that.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have many things to tell you again, but we have no time, maybe. Yes. Okay. Olivier Messiaen. Yes. When I was at the opera, they built a new building, Bastille Opera. And we have a new conductor. Music. First, we have Daniel Barenboim, who stayed only 6 months. But after, we have a new director. Political problem, so they changed a new music director. And you have the Korean conductor and pianist Myung-Woon Chung, who was young at this time, with an experience of symphonic orchestra, but not a long experience of opera. So it was a very good conductor, very special moment in Paris new opera Bastille. And he has a good idea to invite, because he loves his music. Myung-Woon Chung invite Olivier Messiaen because he wanted that we play in concert and record it for Dutch Gramophone Company, only the symphonic music of Messiaen. We have played the Saint-François d'Assise opera before, but Myung-Woon Chung wanted to do this. It was a good idea. And so Messiaen came many times at the Paris Opera it was in 1990. and 91 and 92, because he died, I think, in 90. He died in 92. Yes. And so during 2 years, Messiaen was there many times for the recording, for the concert. And so we met him. It was very easily to speak with him. And one day, Myung Chung decided to play and to record the Messiaen Quatuor pour la fin du temps, quartet of the end for the end of the time, you know. It was decided, not me. I was chosen to play this piece because my colleague did not want to play, so I was chosen to play, and I was happy. And so we have the chance to rehearse with Olivier Messiaen this quartet during 2 weeks, and to play in concert at the Bastille Opera. And there is a movie with this concert where we see Olivier Messiaen also at the concert. I hope that it will be published maybe by the Paris Opera. It was in October 91. 1991, yes. And I don't know, but I am almost sure that it was the last time that Messiaen heard his quartet, because he became sick some weeks after, and he died in April 1992. So it was a good moment and good chance for me to meet him and to speak with him many times, because it was special piece composed in a camp, not death camp, not concentration camp, but a prisoner camp, where Messiaen was almost 1 year with other musicians. But I want to tell you that also a musician from the Paris Opera, the cellist Etienne Pasquier, plays the first audition, because he was also prisoner with Messiaen in the same camp. So he was a cellist who played, and he was a co-principal cellist at the Paris Opera at this time during the war. And I have the chance to meet him, to play for him, and to study the quartet with him. And he told me very interesting things, and sometimes opposite things that Messiaen told me. You know, with the time, sometimes the story changes. And I think, you know, probably the excellent book of Rebecca Riching about this quartet. She has written a book in French and in English. Rebecca, who teach in Ohio, I don't know what the city where she teach. You know Rebecca Riching? No?
I know the book. I've heard of the book, but
yes, excellent book, yeah. Because she met the family of Messiaen also, and Messiaen and Etienne Pasquier, and what she has written is absolutely true. Because Etienne told me the same thing. For example, I remember Messiaen told me, yes, we play in this camp a lot, maybe 2,000, 5,000. I don't remember very well. He was old. I can understand. We're in the audience in the camp, and the cellist has only 3 chords to his instrument, 3 strings to his instrument. My piano was very bad, broken, and the clarinetist has no good reed, and I can imagine. I can imagine. I know I have a friend also who was a student of the clarinetist Henri Akoka. I can explain after. So Messiaen told me some story like that, who was true. But some months after, Etienne Pasquier told me something who are not completely the same thing. He told me, no, we have no thousands and thousands of people. We have only 400 or 500 people who were there. It was not so big. And I have 4 strings on my cello, because with 3 strings, I cannot play this piece with enough difficult. So I think Messiaen was old when he told me this, so maybe probably he forget something. I can excuse this, and no problem. It's not a problem. But it's interesting sometimes to compare the story. About Poulenc also, it will be interesting to have different people.
Yes,
and to compare the story, you know, and but it's an experience. I have a chance with this, and like today, people who play with some composer like Stanley Drucker, who play with Corigliano or other musicians, or Carter, like John or Johnny or Charlie Naidish. So it's important to have a contact, to have to meet truly the composer, because after we have true things to tell to our students and to our colleagues. We are not invention or story that who never exist, you know. So it's important. Yes. And I told to my students, go to the composer. They are not on the ivory tower, you know. They are not. You can have contact with some. Some are crazy. Okay, we know. But some, go to them, ask, speak with them, ask to compose music for us. You know, also new generation. I knew very well Nicolas Bacri in France, who is a very talented composer, who is almost my age now, with a good friend who composed 4 clarinet concerto now, because clarinetists go to them. First was Robert Fontaine in French radio. He composed a concerto for him. After, he composed a concerto da camera for me, with the help of Van Doren Company, who gave me some money. After, he composed a concerto for Laurie Bloom for bass clarinet in Chicago Symphony with Muti, and now he composed a new concerto for the Jacques Lancelot competition in France. So it's important to have more large repertoire. If we go to them, like the work that Benny Goodman did with the composer, when he asked to Milhaud, to Hindemith, to Bartok, that he find money to pay them, and we have great peace now because of this guy, you know. So it's important to do this and to meet the composer.
Yeah.
I think.
So, by the way, just as I told you, John Ye is the walking encyclopedia. Rebecca is in Athens, Ohio, and her surname, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Rishin or Riskin? Rischin.
I think it's Rishin, but
right.
I met many times in Paris, Rebecca. Yes.
And we've had we had Laurie Bloom on the show, on John Ye's show, and he talked about his concerto, and of course we had Drucker. We had Corigliano on the show, and Drucker was on, and so was John. So we know exactly what you're talking about. So, and it's great to talk to you about all this. Let's just move on a little bit. I speaking of John, I know that who was a previous guest, and Charles Neidig, who's a previous guest. You know, I know that you guys were all in the prize round, so to speak, the finals of the Munich competition. So I've asked them this question. I'd like to ask you. You know, you've had a lot of experience when you were young competing, and also have your share of quite a few prizes. But I know you also went on to judge quite a lot. Well, I judged 2 competitions with you, so I know you've done that. What was the difference? What was your concept when you were young about what's important in the competition? And is there anything you learned about the competition being on the other side? Your concept of what people should be trying to do in competitions?
First of all, I would like to tell that I am not so crazy about competition. I did a lot, so it's not opposite, but it's not music for me. It's like a little like Olympic Games, you know. You should be very perfect during one moment, during 15 minutes or half hour. You should be very strong, not nervous, very perfect, and it's a lot of quality who are necessary when you have a job in orchestra sometimes, or we are principal or soloist in front of the orchestra. But I think it's not the most important. I know some musicians who never pass competition who are great musicians, you know. So it's not this way that I like of the competition, not the side of the Olympic Games, to tell I am the more faster, I win this, and no. I think what is important to tell to young generation is that it's a good way, a good goal to practice and to new music, to know new music, to make new friends to travel, to maybe to win and to get instrument or to have money or to have concert. So when, like me, I was not, I did not come from a rich family. I was a very modest origin, and I have not many money to buy instrument. I cannot organize concert to promote myself or to do like that, or to rent an orchestra like some people. Or I had not the money for this. So for young musician in this situation, the competition can help him to have new instrument, to get money, to have concert, to know new repertoire, and first to practice a lot. Because even if we don't win this competition, like that, because nobody win. Like who told this? Yes, Nelson Mandela in South Africa. I have seen a nice writing of him. He has written, or I win, or I learn.
Uh-huh.
So even if you are not in final round, if you are out of the first round, stay to the competition and go to hear your colleagues, because you will learn a lot. Like me, when I was student at the Paris Conservatoire, I asked to Guy de Plus to go to the Geneva International Competition. I have no experience. I was very young. I did not win. It was not my goal. But I practiced new piece. I got a medal, bronze medal, with Charlie. Charlie got a silver medal. I remember. I met Charlie Nadish there. Yes, and I remember I went, I discovered a new world. I went to hear all the candidates, and I discovered new repertoire, new piece. I learned a lot on the different way to play. I discovered people from state, from Bulgaria, from Russia, from everywhere who play there, and some very well, who did not pass. But for me, I don't care. I was happy to get a prize at the end, but a medal, no first prize at this time, but it was like a surprise. But I remember very well, for example, Charlie Nadish, he played a Denisov sonata for solo clarinet. I did not know this piece. I discovered he plays this beautifully, very well, spectacular. And it was a shock for me. I bought the music after and I practiced because of him. And also a guy from Belgium, a student of Walter Beukens, who played a sonata from Rudolf, I forget the name, composer from Holland, from Netherlands. And I bought the music. I discovered he played very well also, and it was good for this. I practice a lot my instrument. I practice 6, 7, 8 hours by day, also the night. And so I make a lot of progress technically on my instrument, who help me for the future after to pass other competition. So it was very good. It was very good. So the goal of a competition is this sort of things, not the Olympic Games side, I am the winner. No, not this side. Music is not this for me. But the competition are interesting to exist because it's help young generation. And you asked me in your question that I was candidate when I was young, and today I'm judge. I am more old. And I remember I was judge sometime in some competition. It was in Germany, in Munich ARD competition. And I met Göra Feynman. Göra Feynman there, he was judge also there.
Wow.
And I did not know before. And I love how he judge candidate because he has not the same point of view as the classical musician were judge. We were 10 or 12, I don't remember. And I spoke with him many times, and he has a very human point of view who influenced me too when I should vote for somebody, because he told me what I told you. Competition, what we organize competition is to help the young people, to help them, not to tell, no, you should not play like that, or Poulenc should not play like that. No, it's not the goal. If we think that somebody is talented, even if you don't play like we learn clarinet or music or style, but sometimes we discover talented people with a lot of possibility, a lot of music, a lot of appassionato, technically possibility, artistic thing. We should help. And I vote for this sort of people. I remember I should judge some colleague who became very famous after. Not easy for me, and to have an opinion. And sometimes they did not pass, but they play very well. And they prove after this competition, even if they don't win, that they were talented. I remember Steve Williamson, for example, in Munich. He has played very well. He did not pass for final, but it was fantastic. I spoke with him. I told him, don't worry, you will win other competition, I am sure, because I feel he is talented. I remember Paolo Beltramini, also in Munich. Very good, excellent. I remember Wenzel Fuchs, very good. I remember other people, very talented, who did not pass. A guy from Slovenia, I forget his name, who played beautifully. And they were not in final. The finalists were good, but the other one too. And to be judged is not easy, because you are sometimes frustrated, because we like some people, we like many people, and we should only conserve 2 or 3 for the final. It's terrible decision. Not easy. And we are opposite sometimes. We don't like the same people. So it's normal, it's human. It's human. So my experience is this. So sometimes I thought maybe I don't want to go in the jury, because it's difficult. Not easy decision, Not easy. But for the young candidate, go to this competition. You will learn, even if you don't pass. But don't go as a tourist. Go to be very well prepared, okay? Practice a lot. And after, stay to hear your colleague. You will learn a lot. Like in a conservatoire. You have some students who come to the lesson. They have lesson from 2 to 3 o'clock. Okay. They arrive at 2, they go at 3. But I told them, come in the morning, hear your colleague in the morning, and stay after. You will learn a lot of things. You can observe what you should do and what you should not do. You can hear what I told to these people. You can hear different way to play, and you will open your mind like that. It's important. So the private lesson sometimes is not a good idea. So, see, it's important, but you will learn more when you have a class with many people. And also you play in front of people, you learn your job from the future, for the future.
That's very good. Very, 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 very good. So let's go on. Let's go according. Let's continue on this path. So again, I mean, you have a very busy schedule teaching. I think you have students from all around the world.
Not now.
No, well, maybe by Zoom. I don't know, but I know for a fact, because I've been to some of your master classes in Australia and Hong Kong and whatnot, that you give a lot of classes. So you've been teaching for such a long time. You've heard so many, so many generations of players. What are the things that you gravitate towards? What are the things perhaps you feel are universally missing, or you'd like to see more of in the students that you're teaching? Where do you usually take them when you teach them?
I think today we have internet with good things and sometimes not so good things. So yes, change a lot. Internet change a lot of things with the new generation, the young people, because I see everywhere. Some people try to imitate people that they like sometimes, because there is some good, excellent recording on the internet sometimes that you can find. It's good historical things that are interesting, and also you have not so good things. It's open, very open, but you cannot imitate somebody. Everybody is unique. You are unique. I am unique. These people is unique, because it's like the sound of our voice, the color of our hairs, the speed of our blood, our heart is not the same. So we are all unique, and we should accept this. We cannot have the same sounds than Harold Watt or Jona Ettlinger or Hans Rudolf Stalder or Guy Deplu or other people that I like. You cannot never, you should accept yourself and to do with this. So I think today internet changed a lot of things because you try to imitate, like me, I did this, I imitate my first teacher. Sure. Like you imitate when you are a baby, you imitate when you begin to speak, you imitate the sound of the voice of your mother, of your father. You learn like that. And clarinet, when you learn music, it's the same. You imitate the sonority of your teacher. I remember I imitate the same way that my teacher played a little on the right side. I imitate this. It's normal, I think, when you are young. But after you should forget this. And people don't never forget. And they try to be a copy of somebody. I prefer to be the original. It's more important. A photocopy is never the same than the manuscript. I prefer to be the manuscript than the photocopy. You see? So today many people, young people, go in this way. I think it's not a good way. You can be inspired by somebody, but don't copy. Don't copy. Be with what you like in somebody way of playing, but after accept and play with what you have. Maybe you have not a fast staccato. Okay, practice your staccato. You cannot play staccato like Stanley Drucker. Okay, you play with you, with your possibility of you, and you can make music too. It will be different. For example, you hear first recording of Nielsen concerto with Louis Cahuzac. You can feel a lot of music. He has not a very fast staccato. We forget. We don't think to this because he used differently. After you put the recording with Stanley Drucker, spectacular, with a fast staccato, crazy, like Stanley can be. And it's another way to play. But I don't want to judge what is the best. You know, nobody is the best in the world. It don't exist. We are all unique. And you should assume and accept this. It's my way to sing. Okay? There is a lot of talented people. A lot in the world who play differently. So the best in the world, I don't know. I know many good people. Some are not so famous. You cannot say don't know probably, but they have they are talented. A lot of gifts, a lot of possibilities. You know, after, okay, every life is different. So you have the chance to meet somebody, to have a big career there, or to have this job. Okay, it's a life for everybody is like that. But many people are talented. You should find your talent in yourself, inside of you. For some people, it's not music. It's other things. When you have some students sometimes, you feel that they are at the maximum. Maybe you can make a mistake, sure. But with some students, you feel that, okay, they are here in the maximum. So you should help them, be honest with them, to tell them very soon, maybe to find another job, or maybe they are talented for other things. Okay, so it's important, I think, to help them in this way, because not everybody can be a musician.
Great. Well, that's great. I hope, Lorenzo, I'm gonna mention what I've heard him say in interviews at this time. Let's talk about COVID with young people now. Like you said, it's very distressing. But Lorenzo actually is quite harsh, and he says, well, you know, maybe this is the time that people have to face. Maybe they should do another job or another career. Maybe the opportunities are getting smaller and smaller. They're already so small, and so many people. You know, maybe that's the time. So that aside, Lorenzo's a very harsh guy, but we forgive him because he's recovered recently. But what do you have to say? I mean, you're a teacher, you know, and you know, we started the conversation by so many of us established people. We're struggling in a way right now. We're you know, psychologically and emotionally, and some people financially, and so on and so forth. So what do you have to, where do you see all this going?
I am not, comment on dit, devin. I cannot judge the future. We will see. I don't know. But maybe some people should think to another job, because it's bad time. It's a tragedy for the new people who arrive on the music world now. But if they are talented, if they have gift, they should continue, because there is opportunity to play in the future. I am sure it will be not stop completely, the culture and the music. We will have maybe not so many orchestra, maybe not so many conservatory. I don't know. But people need music. We need the culture. It's essential. It's we need this. Everybody. So all the time we will need musicians. And you see, recording are one thing, but live concert is another thing, and it's very important, because the music should be always live. Recording is another word. You see, with internet, we have the opportunity to speak. You are far, me too, and we speak with many colleagues. It's fantastic. We can make concert like that. Okay. But I think it's important to be in the concert hall and to hear music live. It's not the same. It's another world. You see, last year I was in Bayreuth Festival. For the first time of my life, I bought tickets to go to hear an opera in the temple of Wagner music. I knew I play Wagner music, but to be in Bayreuth, it was an experience incredible for me. I never forget. It was the place to be, to hear Wagner with this special pit, and it was terrible. It was exceptional for me. So for music is this for me, is live, like the life, you see. So culture we need, and we need live culture. So don't be. What can I tell to the young generation? Don't be upset too much, even if it's not easy. It's easy to tell this in my position. I understand, but we don't know. I don't know. I hope, and we will see.
Yeah, for me, I think it's not always about the best or the most talented, but I think if there's going to be a whittling down of people, I think it could be a question of who's the most dedicated. You know what I mean? Who has to do this? Because I'm looking at guests like you or John Ye. I mean, you guys are like, you've been at it for 50 years, and it's like the first day for you. You're so enthusiastic. You're so knowledgeable. You've been there. I mean, it's just part of who you are. You're completely dedicated. This is who you are, and I think that's what it's going to come down to at the end. In fact, I said at a panel, ask yourself why you're a musician, and ask yourself what the role of a musician is in society. And you got to start from there. I think a lot of people don't ask themselves, and then you'll make it work. You have to be adaptable. The world's changing constantly in the last few months. You can see the landscape of music. I really believe that's where it lies right now. Your adaptability and your dedication and your own concept. Why am I a musician? Is it just because I like to get applause? And why do we have music, like you were talking about? So anyway, I think that's a good starting point, and those are great comments. So we're gonna end, Philippe. What would you tell yourself here? 50 years in this business, you're still as enthusiastic, I think, as when you were a teenager. What would you tell yourself when you were 20 in the Paris Conservatory, looking back? Regrets, advice? What would you tell a young 20-year-old, 21-year-old Philippe Couper? Anything that you would have changed, or any advice you would have given yourself?
Not easy question. Huh? what I tell to my students many
Okay.
times every week.
Generally, to young people trying to your students generally, any general advice that you'd like to give them?
Practice slowly.
Yeah.
Because practice
Great.
slowly, yes. Because I practice very fast all the time. When I was young, I wanted to play all fast. But no, I think we learn slowly the things. When we understand this, we make a lot of progress. You should have time. It's a job which is not easy. We should have time to conserve in our mind all the notes in music part. So when we play slowly in the beginning, it's recorded here. And after, we can play faster and faster. It's not the most difficult to play faster, but to play perfect technical thing, perfect in tuning, don't exist. Huh? Perfection don't exist for me. Even now, we know some pieces, but we should practice again. If we don't practice, we know that perfection don't stay. Today I understand some of my teacher. I remember my first teacher when he stopped to play in the orchestra. He was 65 years old. It was a long time ago. And I spoke with him and I told him, okay, now you finish orchestra, you will have a lot of time to play concerto. And he told me, no. Now I finish. I will put my clarinet under the roof. I will close the door. And the key, I don't know where is the key. I put in the garden very far. I don't want to play, never. Because I have no goal enough to play, not enough. So if I don't practice every day a lot, I could not conserve the level where I was. So I prefer to stop. And I remember I was young, I did not understand what he told me. And I, why? You love music? Yes, he told me, I like music. I heard recording of my colleague of a great orchestra. I will go to concert, yes, but I don't want to practice many and many hours by day, because he did practice a lot. All the time he practiced. And today I understand. And at the opposite side, I have another teacher, Guy Deplu, who practiced and to the end of his life. He practiced all the time.
Wow.
It was a drug, and one day I have a colleague who went to meet him in his apartment. And before to arrive, behind the door, he heard somebody who play Nielsen concerto.
Wow.
Perfectly. And he thought, oh, Guy Deplu, today he has a good student who play very well Nielsen concerto. And Guy Deplu had no student at this moment. It was Guy Deplu who practiced Nielsen concerto. He was maybe 85 or something like that.
Wow.
Yes, he practiced a lot every day, he told me. He could not stop. And so, two opposites thought about how we will be. And me, I don't know. Now, right. I can stop if I wanted orchestra, okay, or soon, officially I can continue too, but I like what I do. I like to practice. I like to play. I like to play music with some colleagues, some musicians, some great conductor. We will have a new conductor in Paris Opera in some months. We know the name, but I cannot tell. But I wanted to play with him because I respect him a lot. He came one time at the opera, Paris Opera. It was fantastic. And so I don't know if I will stop or not. Or maybe I will be dead before. I don't know. Look, so you see, it's a job that it's not a job. It's a passion. If we don't think like that, we should do another job. It's a very special occupation, very special. And we have the chance to do this. It's a big chance. So we should not forget every day. When I go to the opera, every day I think, I have a chance to be here. It's not very not many people who have this chance.
That's true.
It's rare.
Great.
Sometimes you work in an office all the day. you write the same paper for the bank or for the thing, and it's not easy. Or you work in McDonald's or in some company or some restaurant. It's not easy. I have some friends who work in this some sort of who have this sort of job, and so we have chance. You too, huh? Don't forget this, huh?
No, I don't. And Philippe, I think even better than all these answers to the questions, by example, gratitude. I hear so much gratitude for you. You feel so lucky to be doing what you're doing. So, we're talking about COVID and we're talking about this and we're talking about this and all the problems in the world. And all you're doing is saying, I'm just lucky to be doing what I'm doing. And I just think that maybe that's the best lesson from this whole interview for the young people. Instead of all the time, look at, be grateful. There's a lot to be grateful for. So I really appreciate it. Philippe, very, very, very good interview. Thank you so much for joining us. Fantastic. So we wish the opera the best. We want everyone to tune in on hopefully to hear the ring cycle, the only ring in the world this year, and hopefully playing some lovely solos for us. And
me and my colleague. I am not alone.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I have excellent colleague. The clarinet section is fantastic. The opera, and like in many places. But we are 7 clarinet players, and we try to do our best. My last word: good luck to everybody. Good luck, and practice. Even if you don't know what is the future now,
right.
But you have
and
a chance
do it slowly. Very important. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, my friend studied with Stanley Drucker, and he was it was some very fast passage, and Drucker said, "Look, 4 notes in a beat. That's it. 4 notes in a beat. There is nothing fast. Practice it slowly, and 4 notes in a beat, and that's it."
Yes.
Thank you so much, Philippe. Everybody, it's great to be here. It's been 6 weeks, and we're happy Lorenzo's there. We're happy Philippe was our first guest, and thank you everyone for joining us once again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you to invite me and to have the opportunity to speak with many people and you. Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you, Andy. Bye-bye.
Thank you.